ASMR, gaming, warcraft. Welcome back everyone. In the last episode we read the prologue to War Crimes by Christy Golden. So let's continue with chapter 1. It looks too peaceful and beautiful to be the prison of someone so horrible. Lady Jaina Proudmore mused as she approached the temple of the White Tiger. She, the Blue Dragon, Caligos, Ranger General, Varisa Windrunner, and King Varian Rin rode in a cart drawn by a steady-footed yak, whose fluffy fur indicated the beast had been freshly bathed, in acknowledgement of the honoured status of the passengers. The cart had been upholstered with silk cushions in vibrant shades, though the travellers did bounce a bit when the wheel hit a rut. Better than he deserves, said Varisa. She fixed her gaze on Varian. You should not have stopped Goel from killing him, Your Majesty. There is no other justice for that monster than death, and even that is more merciful than what he has done. The Ranger General's voice was sharp, and Jaina couldn't blame her, especially as she completely shared Varisa's sentiments. Garrosh Hellscream had been responsible for the destruction. No, that was too kind, too clinical a word for what he'd done. The obliteration of the city-state of Theramore, the deaths of hundreds, all occurring in the space of a heartbeat, could be laid at his feet. The then war chief of the Horde had contrived to trick several of the Alliance's finest generals and admirals into assembling at Theramore, where they planned for the sort of warfare that involved an honest fight. Instead, Garrosh had dropped a mana bomb. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay. It's powerful, magnified by an artifact stolen from the Blue Dragonflight into the heart of the city. Everyone, everything in the bomb's blast radius had died. Jaina shook her head to clear the awful memory of precisely how some of them, people she loved, had been killed. Jaina Proudmore would never again be the Lady of Theramore. A gentle touch on her arm brought her back to the present. Jaina looked up at the Blue Dragon Caligos, who had been the one good best he could. In the process, he had forcibly pushed Jaina through a portal to safety. Jaina, Verisa, the night elf, Chandris Feathermoon, and a few of her sentinels had been the only survivors. The leader of the Silver Covenant had never, likely would never, truly recovered from the loss. Verisa had always been strong and outspoken, but now her words were barbed and her hatred cold and bitter, as the ice of Northrend dwelt in the heart. Thank the light, the ice thought, when she spoke to her twin sons, Kiramar and Kaladin. Not so long ago, Valerian might have risen to the bait and grown angry with Veresa for her open condemnation of his choice. Now he merely said, "You may get your wish, Veresa. Remember what Taranzu promised." After Varian had prevented Goel, formerly hailed as Thrall, once war chief of the Horde, and now leader of the shamanic order known as the Earthen Ring, from dealing Garrosh the death blow with the mighty Doom Hammer. Garrosh had been delivered into the paws of the Pandaren, a people whom both Horde and Alliance trusted, and who had entered their share of harm at Garrosh's hands. Taranzu, Lord of the Shadowban, had assured them that Garrosh would be tried and justice would be meted out to all. Quick, I lost my place. Okay, we're back. The Orc was presently imprisoned in the cellars beneath the temple of the White Tiger, under heavy guard, and 2 days ago would have come from the Celestial Suen's own emissary. We request your presence at my temple. Garrosh Hellscream's fate shall be decided, nothing more. Every Alliance leader had received the same letter, and Jaina saw some of them at the foot of the hill, getting into similarly refurbished carts for the trek up to the temple. Queen Regent Moria Thoracian, one of the 3 joint leaders of the dwarves, appeared to be arguing with an unruffled Pandaren, pointing with annoyance at the cart. No doubt she did not find it suitable for her royal self. I remember said Verisa, and it seems to be important to the Celestials. And if it is so cursed important, why were we not allowed to just fly to the temple? Why waste time with this cart? We are here by their invitation, Galek said. If they are willing to wait until we arrive by this method, we should be too. It is not long a ride. Spoken with the patience of a dragon, Verisa said, I am what I am. He replied, seemingly unperturbed by her comment. Yes, thought Jaina. He was indeed what he was, who he was, and she was glad of it. Though much yet remained for them to sort through in their relationship, she tried to settle back into the embroidered cushions and enjoyed the show. Slow right up the curving path. Pandaria excluded remarkably peace and offered beauty wherever one's eye fell. Cherry trees exploded with pink blossoms, a few fluttering about as the wind swayed. The branches, statues of the white tigers, guarded the first graceful gateway, and the path began to grow steeper as the cart made its steady way forward, and the cold pressed in. Jaina was grateful for the heat of the various braziers they passed, and wrapped a cloak more tightly around her slender frame. The earth bore first a scant dusting of snow, then drifts as the altitude increased. Jane became aware of a profound sense of lightness, and all at once she understood. She well knew the import of casting a spell with focus and purposefulness, and it was suddenly clear to her that in their own way the Celestials were giving their guests a chance to do precisely that, by taking a leisurely cart ride up the mountain, skirting the outlying exterior structures, and being exposed to beauty and peacefulness the entire way. Jaina and her companions had the opportunity to set aside the duties of their everyday world and arrive mentally fresh. She permitted the air, scented with the subtle fragrance of the cherry blossoms to cleanse her mind. She and Gallic were seated, so they faced backwards, so Jane didn't see what twisted Varys's beautiful visage into a scowl, and thinned Varian's lips as the cart halted before the first of the swaying rope bridges. The high elf's hand automatically went to her side and then curled into a fist as she remembered they had been asking to bring no weapons to the temple. What are they doing here? Varys snapped, then answered her own question. Well, Garrosh is their former leader. I suppose they would be present when his fate is announced. Jaina turned in her seat, looking up at the courtyard of the temple proper, and her eyes widened slightly. Her gut clenched as she remembered. She was reminded of Garrosh's tactic at Theramore, assembling the greatest alliance military tacticians in one place, as it seemed that the invitation the alliance leaders had received was extended to the Horde as well. The blue-skinned troll Vol'jin, of course, was here, Varian's counterpart, as the new war chief. Would he be better than an orc? Worse, did it matter? Not even the former war chief, Thrall, who now went by his birth name of Goel, could curb the Horde's hunger for violence, and he had tried. Even as she thought about him, her gaze found the orc shaman. At Goel's side was his mate, Agra, who carried a small bundle, Goel's son. Jaina had heard Goel had become a father, and there was word that Agra was again with child. Once, Jaina would have been invited to hold this little one, but that time had passed. Goel was surveying the crowd, and his eyes, as blue as Jaina's own, met hers. Anger and unhappiness surged through her, and she looked away, seeking distraction. Jaina turned her attention to the tallest of the leaders, Bane Bloodhoof. Save for Goel, Bane was the only Horde leader Jaina had ever been able to think of as a friend. Garrosh had first slain the Torrent's father, Khan, and then stood by the white Grim Totem Tauren attacked Thunderbluff. Unable to get aid from the Horde, Bane had turned to Jaina for help against Magatha, which Jaina had been glad to give. Bane had returned the favor by warning she spotted a few others too. A lot of them are Theron of the Blood Elves, with whom she had recently, albeit under duress, negotiated, and the obnoxious goblin trade prince, Jaster Gallywix, sporting his ridiculous top hat. A Pandaren in the robes of a monk bowed in greeting as they exited the cart. "Honored guests," he said, "you are welcome. Here there will be only peace as you attend the first ever gathering of all the leaders of Azeroth. Do you promise to abide by this rule?" "I thought we were here to see justice done," Verisa began, but Jaina laid a hand on her arm. Verisa bit her lip and said nothing more. Since the murder of her husband, Verisa had gravitated to Jaina, and the leader of the Kirin Tor was the only one who seemed able to pour oil on the churning waters of Verisa's loathing of the Horde. "You understand, there is not peace in our hearts," Jaina said to the monk. "There is pain and anger, and a desire for justice." As Verisa had said, "For my part, however, I will offer no violence." The other three answered in kind, although Verisa uttered the words with difficulty, and the Pandaren invited them to follow him up the swaying rope bridge and the massive central staircase and into the Colosseum. Ayesa Cloudsinger, among the first of the Pandaren who had joined the alliance, stood at the entrance to the temple, and the newcomers bowed to her. Her eyes sparkled with pleasure at seeing them. Ayesa had settled in Stormwind City, and Jaina had not seen her since the monk's arrival some time ago. "I knew you would come," Ayesa said, bowing to each of them in turn. "Thank you." "Ayesa," Varian said, "can you tell us what is going on? All I know is that those who lead the factions of Alliance and Horde were requested to come here peacefully, and that the August Celestials have made some sort of decision," she said. "Please enter the temple in silence and stand with your fellows in the center area. On the left, the Celestials will arrive soon." Her normally modulated voice was higher than usual, betraying the strain and concern she felt. That was not a good sign, but they all nodded agreement. Quietly, Jaina asked, Is Jai here?" Ayasa's stride faltered. Jai Firepaw was the first Pandaren to ally with the Horde. As Ayesa had chosen the alliance, it had divided them until Garrosh had turned on Jai, who had come perilously close to execution. obvious, but that would happen. But what would happen between them now was not so clear. He is here, Ayasa said. For now we are together, and this time is precious to us both. She offered no more, and Jaina did not press her. The Archmage hoped that perhaps this trial would make Ajay realize that the Horde was the wrong side for him to have chosen. The Temple of the White Tiger was vast. Here in the cavernous arena that was at the center of the temple, Pandaren monks trained their disciplined practice under Zuin's watchful eyes, turning them into masters of their martial art. Despite their size, somehow the temple did not feel oppressive. Perhaps it was because, despite the copious amounts of seats, no one gathered here to witness death, only skill. The entrance was in the south, directly opposite. A huge brazier-flanked throne in the seating area. Banners were on display in the west, north and east. On the floor was a ring of 6 large, self-contained, decorative bronze circles with a substantial, slightly recessed 7th in the center. The illumination came from blazing lanterns that hung from the ceiling, and the daylight streaming through the open doors of the entryway. Okay, everyone, I'm going to leave it there for tonight. We are up to page 12. I better make a mark. Yeah, we are up to page 12. I'll continue it tomorrow, hopefully. If you made it this far, please hit that like button. I hope you are relaxed. Thank you for watching. Good night, everyone. Subscribe.